All right, we're about to dive deep into a single, super short verse from the Quran. Just 2 words. But we're not just going to look at what it means. We're going to explore this fascinating system of analysis that claims there's, well, a perfectly balanced mathematical equation hiding right under the surface. Pretty wild, right? Let's get into it.
So here's the verse. It's from Surah 55, verse 3. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ, and it translates to something really simple. He created the human. Just that. Super profound, of course, and this little statement is the foundation for, well, everything we're about to unpack.
But here's the big question. What if it's more than just a statement? The whole idea we're digging into today suggests this verse is actually a perfect, balanced equation, like a numerical mirror hidden in the words themselves. So you might be asking, how on earth do we see that? Well, you need a key.
And that key is something called System 19. So what is it? It's basically an analytical method that gives a unique number to every single letter of the Arabic alphabet. You can kind of think of it like a cipher or a decoder ring that lets us read the text on a completely different level. This is the tool that's going to let us see the math behind the words.
Okay, so let's start breaking this code. We're going to take System 19, apply it to those 2 main words, and just see what happens. This is what the analysis calls the first big revelation, the mirror. So on one side, you have khalaqa, that's the act of creation, and on the other side, you have al-insan, the human. 2 totally distinct ideas. One's the action, one's the result. But when you look at them through this numerical lens, well, their relationship is a lot closer than you might think.
Okay, let's look at the actual calculation. Using System 19, you add up the values of the letters in khalaqa, or creation, and they come out to 25. Okay, but here's the crazy part. When you do the exact same thing for the letters in al-insan, the human, they also add up to 25, a perfect numerical match. Wow. So there you have it, 25 equals 25. The verse isn't just a statement anymore, it's a mirror equation. The numerical value for creation is literally identical to the value for the human. According to this system, they're reflections of the exact same essential frequency.
Okay, but this brings up a pretty logical question, right? If both sides are identical, if it's just a perfect static mirror, how can that possibly represent a dynamic act like creation? How does anything happen? Well, that's where the next layer of this whole system comes into play. To answer that question, the analysis introduces a concept called the two-floor mirror reduction. Now, this is the mechanism that's supposed to inject some dynamism, some action, into that perfectly balanced 25 equals 25 equation. So here's how it works. The number 25 gets broken down in 2 different ways. The front floor is really simple. You just take the digits, 2 plus 5, and that equals 7. Easy enough. The mirror floor is a little more abstract. The system breaks 25 down into its base parts, a 10, a 2, and a 5, which all add up to 17. So you're looking at the same number, but in 2 different ways, and you get 2 totally different results. Now let's apply this back to our words. Creation gets that front floor value of 7, and it becomes what's called the outer driver. Meanwhile, the human gets the mirror floor value of 17, becoming the inner field. So just like that, our static mirror has split into this dynamic relationship. You've got a driver and a field for it to act on. And this is where the analysis really expands. We're moving from simple arithmetic to something much, much bigger, a geometric model of creation itself. See, the numbers 7 and 17, they don't just exist on their own. They actually have specific behaviors within this whole system. Okay, so the system describes these 2 fundamental cosmic paths. You've got the number 12, which represents the path of descent. Think of it like a top-down creative action, like a command being given. Then you have its mirror, the number 21, which represents the path of ascent. This is more of a bottom-up reflection, kind of like consciousness waking up and making sense of things. And here is how it all connects back to our numbers. Within this system, the number 7, remember, that's our creation driver, is assigned the behavior of 12, that downward path. And the number 17, our human field, gets the behavior of 21, the upward path. What you get is this perfect interactive loop between descent and ascent. So what's the result of this balanced interaction between 12 and 21? Well, it's the number 3. And geometrically, think about it. What's the very first stable shape you can make with 3 points? It's a triangle.
So, according to this analysis, this verse is actually describing the creation of the first stable container for existence.
So, a triangle, a container. What does this have to do with a human being? Well, this is the synthesis. This is where the analysis claims that this entire numerical system maps directly onto a three-layered model of the human archetype itself. So this model has three basic layers. At the very top, you have the galam, which is like the blueprint or the code. In the middle, there's the rijal, that's the inner driver, and at the bottom, you have the nisa, which is the outer physical vessel. So basically, a code, a driver, and a body. And this is where it all connects. The entire process we just went through, that whole journey from 25 splitting into 7 and 17, which then creates the 12 and 21 loop, all of that is supposedly describing one very specific event, the activation of that middle layer, the rijal, the inner driver. It's like the engine of the human system is finally turning on. So let's put this all together for a second. I know that was a lot. We started with a super simple verse, and we've journeyed through all these layers of numbers and geometry. Let's just recap the full equation one more time. Okay, so it starts as a perfect mirror, 25 equals 25. That balance gets broken into a dynamic relationship, the driver, 7, interacting with the field, 17. That dynamic then plays out geometrically as a downward action, 12, and an upward reflection, 21. And the final result of that whole balanced loop, the number 3, the triangle of creation. And the analysis wraps up with a pretty powerful statement about how this all happens. It says the triangle, the creation container, must appear before consciousness is installed. So what that means is this geometric structure isn't just a byproduct, it's the necessary vessel, the stable container that has to be there first for consciousness to even have a place to exist. And all of that leaves us with a final, really fascinating question to think about. Are we looking at a real, hidden mathematical code that's literally embedded in the structure of an ancient language? Or is this all just a testament to the incredibly profound ability of our own minds to find and create these intricate patterns of meaning? I guess the answer, in the end, is a reflection of what you see in the mirror.